getting up into the fray here in New York City 10 or 15 years ago, and her dad was gradually moving out to the pasture. We would talk occasionally, though she called me for advice shamefully few times. And there were a group of the tall steeple fellows who were radical liberals. They were on the cutting edge, and they realized that these brilliant young women were coming to the fore, and they invited them to meet with them. And this happened several times, but they don't know it, I think, that Annie would call me and say, "I'm going to a meeting with the woolly mammoths." She said it with affection. I'm going to say a couple of things about context. About 500 years ago, a man named William Tyndale, a great scholar, made the first translation from the Hebrew and Greek scriptures into English. And he was threatened with death by the Pope, and he was in great tension with him. And Tyndale said, "I will cause the boy who drives the plow in England to know more of the scriptures than you do." That was the beginning, that period. He lost his life, of course. That was the beginning of an era of explosive new things in history. Reformation, the explosion of Shakespeare, literature, theater, drama. And for 500 years now, we've struggled with that to turn it into some kind of just democracy. And I think I'm guilty of taking advantage of you for a moment, because I think this is the gathering of the new revolution after the Tyndale Revolution. This is the gathering of the people who have to make words mean something. And it was one of my favorite poets, John Milton, who said that during the English Revolution, he was a pamphleteer. And he said he was trying to turn the words of righteousness and justice into the reality of flesh and blood. And that, I think, is taken on a new challenge today. And I think Annie was in the forefront of that challenge. One of her characteristics, as so many of you knew, is that she had a built-in BS detector. But she was kind about it, unlike her dad. And she didn't want to fight about it, but she did want to do something about it. And so her lifelong habit became putting her shoulder to the wheel, putting it to the wheel with love, and keeping the goal of justice and peace for all humankind as the star she moved toward. So she had one foot in the life of the Spirit. Our house was always filled with song. I used to say that our kids raised us. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, we didn't raise them. So out of the 60s and 70s, this great joyful spirit grew up, but she anchored herself in what needs to be done. So that's my memory to share with you about Annie. Shoulder to the wheel, doing it with love, an eye on the goal of justice. Thanks to all of you for being here today. You know what we have to do.